want to save money, and when you want to save money, one of the things you want to avoid is spending money on stuff that does not help you meet your financial goals. So one thing that's been helping me on YouTube, if I'm starting to feel tempted to go out and buy a bunch of stuff, is to watch anti-haul videos. So this is my own anti-haul video for budget stuff specifically. Because if you suddenly find yourself in the YouTube corner of the budgeting community, the planner community, all that kind of stuff, it can be really overwhelming. And the next thing you know, you don't just think that you need to get a hold of your finances, you feel like you need to go out and get all this stuff, and that's going to help you get on track. Now, I will say I have bought some things that have really helped me. I've invested in things that have made a massive difference in my budgeting journey. I'm not going to sit here and act like there's never been a certain type of planner or a certain type of budgeting book that has helped me. But I will say that going forward, I have a much better idea of what I like and what works for me. So going forward, I feel like I'm not going to waste money on things that aren't going to help me meet those goals. So the first one, and I know that this is going to ruffle some feathers, hear me out, is cash envelopes. Now, if you really want to get cash envelopes on the cheap, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, you can just go buy a box of plain white envelopes, maybe decorate them with some markers or whatever. But a lot of, you know, especially on Etsy, like I was obsessed for a while of just looking at all these beautiful cash envelopes. There's so many awesome designs out there, and I felt like for a while, if I didn't have the right design, it wasn't going to help me save me money. Now, having cute stuff in a way, like it can keep you motivated, so I think that's kind of the way, at least for me, that I justified having to go out and spend the money. But for me, it's not just about what I spent on those cash envelopes. For me, the cash envelope system just didn't really work. So for one thing, when I first started cash envelope stuffing back in the day, most of my money was in the form of tips. So I had a lot of cash. I haven't relied on tips in years. So now it's all these extra steps I gotta go through to get cash in the house, and I don't really want to do that. For a while there, I was using like cash substitutes. Like I would set money aside in my savings, and then I would have like fake cash, and I'd get in the envelopes. Okay, this is for this is for that. I do think it's pretty important to have different categories for your savings. So I'm not really knocking the system in its entirety, but it just became this waste of my time that didn't really give me a clearer picture of my finances. Now, people who feel like the cash envelope system changed their life, by all means, you keep doing it, but that is definitely on my anti-haul list. The next thing, and I know this is going to sound a little bit paranoid, but the next thing is budgeting apps that link to your bank account. We don't need to do that. You don't need to be in my bank account. Sorry. Now, having said that, it's a pain to have to go the other route and use an app where you have to plug in everything that you spent, everything that came in. I get that. I get why people want to have this set it and forget it so that I can casually go in there and review whenever I want to type of system set up. For me, I write everything down. That's what helps me remember it. Every couple nights, I will go through my expenses and see where I'm at. Am I over budget? Do I still have money in this category? You know, what's my financial situation so far? And I'm not knocking budgeting apps entirely. I'm not knocking paying for a budgeting app, but I think in order for me to truly trust a budgeting app with my banking information, like you would have to be a company that has a pretty solid reputation and has been around for a while. So if I really had to pick something that's already out there, I would probably find an option or two that I was comfortable enough with. But in general, I really don't want to give out my banking account information. Next up is finance books. And I am not in any way knocking finance books. Again, this is just something that is just my own personal thing. I have found so much budgeting help and ideas and insight on YouTube. I don't really feel the need to go to a financial expert that wrote a book a couple years ago that became a bestseller. I don't care. For my situation, most of what I want to find out is available for free. So why would I go buy a book? Plus, I hate admitting this, I do have a bit of trouble with reading. My mind just tends to wander. So I am kind of experimenting a little bit with audiobooks because especially with fiction, like I will read an entire paragraph and then a character starts speaking. I'm like, wait a second, I have to go back to see what they just mentioned. Like, I don't know what it is. It seems to be a focus issue. Who knows? Maybe if I try some audiobook versions of financial books, maybe this would come off my anti-haul list. That's a possibility. I'll try it. My next anti-haul item. Buy now, pay later. No. Nope. We don't need to do that. We don't need to do that. That is such a trap. It's not worth it. I don't care what it is. It just... I get wanting the instant gratification. And I've been there. I don't think I've ever actually used a buy now, pay later. But I don't want to. I don't want to. It's just, if what you have to sell is something that I can't afford to buy, it sucks. It really does. You know, you want to feel like your hard-earned money allows you to just go do what you want and spend money on what you want. So I get the frustration and feeling like that's an option, but it's just not worth it in the long run. And lastly, when it comes to budget books and planners, I am not against budget books and planners. I'm currently using my own like self-made kind of notebook right now, which if you look through my budgeting videos, you will see that. I've kind of played around with the style, so it's like I've kind of found my groove in terms of what I want with the notebook I set up for myself. But I would happily buy budget planners again. I kind of like having something that's already structured. I don't have to set the whole thing up. I will say that it's kind of time consuming to set up your own notebook, especially if you want something really specific. But I have bought budget books, budget planners, etc. that I'm not happy with. So I know at this point what I would want going forward. So the first thing is if there is no monthly spread. I want a monthly spread. Okay, I get that the goal of this is not just a regular planner and it's for, you know, budgeting and planning out my money. I get that. I still want a monthly spread. What I put on that might not just be my work schedule or other basic planner stuff. A lot of it might be finances, but I want that. So for example, in the Erin Condren budget book, I love the Erin Condren budget book. But how hard is it to have a monthly spread? How hard is it? Now there is space on the front page of the month to kind of write out the dates for your bills, and that's what a lot of people use it for, but I want a monthly spread. So as much as I love Erin Condren, I would probably not buy a budget book from them again. The next thing that will make me not buy a budget planner is if there is no budget review section. If I do not have space in your budget planner to review the budget that I set up and fully close it out, then what is the point? Now don't get me wrong, I don't mind kind of going in there and restructuring a little bit and setting up pages how I want to, but if I have to essentially restructure like the entire thing to make it work for me, it was a complete waste of my money to begin with. The next thing that would make me not buy a budget planner is if there are not enough spending tracker pages. Now I prefer to budget by paycheck, so if I got one that's basically like a 12-month, I would go through it in about half the time, but those spending tracker pages would be intended to be enough to get you through a whole month. So I don't really have too much of a concern in that regard. Most budget planners, in my opinion, do have enough spending tracker pages, but definitely go through and make sure that it's going to be enough for your needs before you buy one. And lastly, I do not want the budget planner if it has weekly spreads, okay? If this is all about my finances, I don't need weekly spreads to put down my schedule and what I'm doing this week and when my nails are getting done and when I'm doing laundry. I don't care. I don't care. The goal of this budget planner or budget book or whatever is to budget and manage my finances. That is it. If I wanted to add money stuff into a regular planner, then I would just get a regular planner that doesn't have a monthly budget or a weekly budget or a budget finance or expense tracking pages. Now, I have not seen these a lot, but I have seen a couple, and it's just kind of been an instant turnoff for me. Like, I just don't want that in my budget planner. So that is my budget stuff anti-haul. If there are some items that you think should have made this list that did not, go ahead and leave a comment and let me know. And I just want to finish this by saying, please don't let my opinions influence you too much. If there's something that you absolutely love that I said I would never use, you do you. You have to find the system that works for you, that works for your financial situation, that keeps you motivated in your budgeting journey. These are just the things that did not work for me or I found to be a waste of time. And I'm not looking to waste my time because I want to save money.